A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of Weekend Primetime News. I'm Arudhati Mudanayaka, and as always, let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines tonight. During the 24-hour period that ended at 6 this morning, 17 deaths reported owing to motor accidents. The JVP charges that the government does not have answers to national issues of the country. Minister Lakshman Yapa says that devolution of power will be done after consulting everyone. Now the stories in detail. During the past 24 hours, 17 persons were killed in 15 different motor accidents in various parts of the country. The 24-hour window was from 6 last morning to 6 this morning. According to police reports, this time period can be considered as the time with highest number of accidents recorded in the recent history. Among accidents, the accident reported from Payagala in Kalutara was the deadliest. 3 accidents took place at around midnight yesterday in South Payagala on the Goal Road. This is owing to a driver under the influence of alcohol driving a car at high speed. The driver of the car had first committed a hit and run in the Daluwatta area in Payagala when he knocked down a cyclist. The cyclist died on the spot. The driver of the car, who continued to move on, knocked down another cyclist. The second victim too died. Although 2 people were killed owing to the collision, the car had continued to move and it later had collided with a motorcycle. The motorcyclist had sustained injuries in the accident. The gravity of the accident is evident from the outcome of the accident, as one of the cyclists had fallen through the roof of a nearby house after being hit by the car. The 2 cycles, the motorcycle and the car, have been taken into the custody of the Payagala police. The 2 victims are both residents from Payagala, aged 28 and 30. They had met with the accident while returning back from a funeral. The police stated that the driver who committed the accident had sustained minor injuries. The police also stated that he had received treatment at the Nagadu hospital and is presented before the Kalutara magistrate today and is remanded until the 8th of next month. The driver in question will be presented before an identification lineup on that day.
The accident had occurred in South Payagala in Daluwatta. The car was driven by the nephew of a minister. The person who committed is not there. Instead, there is someone else. The police isn't saying anything about this. No steps are taken. The drivers have been replaced.
There
were 2 bottles of Iraq and another person in the vehicle. The driver was not brought. He was not brought to take a statement by showing the corpse. The Payagala police is not even in the hospital. They did not even come to see if they were dead.
Who was behind the wheel?
The son of the deputy minister's sister. Meanwhile, an argument had broken out between the relatives of the victims and the police at the hospital premises, charging that there were issues regarding implementing the law on the accident. We inquired from a senior police officer of the Payagala police as to whether the individual connected to the accident was in fact a relative of an area politician. He noted that he was not aware of such a political relationship and that the driver who committed the accidents had sustained minor injuries. Meanwhile, an individual was killed in an accident in Ruanwala as a result of a collision between a lorry and a motorcycle. A woman was killed in Ragama when a car had skidded off the road. A pedestrian was killed in Wattala after being knocked down by a 3-wheeler. Meanwhile, 2 accidents took place in Medigama as 2 persons were killed after being knocked down by 2 vans. 1 person was killed in Negambo after colliding onto a bus. Meanwhile, a motorcyclist was killed when he collided onto a lorry in Kochikane. Another 2 persons were killed in a motor accident in Eppavala. 2 persons were killed as a result of 2 motorcycles colliding with each other. Meanwhile, a pedestrian was killed in Kuliapete after being knocked down by a lorry. Over in Kurunagal, an individual was killed when a motorcycle skidded off the road. Moreover, a woman was killed when she was run over by a van in Akuresa. Meanwhile, a passenger was run over by a bus in Mathura. Yet another person was killed when a lorry collided with a motorcycle in Ahungalla. Moreover, another person was killed in Mahayangane when a tractor turned over. During the past 29 days of this year alone, 170 persons had died in 156 motor accidents. Police media spokesperson SP Ajit Rohan noted that in the year 2011, 2,500 persons were killed in 2,350 motor accidents.
The speeding, drunk driving, rash and negligence driving, and the behavior of indisciplined drivers, especially the three-wheeler drivers and motorcycle riders, and in addition to that, the fault of the pedestrians. Police is intending to implement and detect traffic cases constantly in order to prevent fatal accidents.
Meanwhile, police media spokesperson SP Ajit Rohan noted that the police and members from the police special task force have been deployed on patrol in the Payagala area. The JVP says that the government does not have answers to national issues of the country.
ජයග්‍රහණයක් තියෙන්නේ පුම්බපු ජයග්‍රහණයක් පරාජයක් තියෙන්නේ වේගවත් පරාජය.
When you win, you achieve great victories, but when you lose, you suffer a quick defeat. This can be seen today. Many national issues have arisen. They do not have a clear target. They are just wandering around. They do not have a clear plan with regard to the economy. The government has a two-thirds majority, but how many acts have they been forced to withdraw in the recent past? This is a government which is facing a great risk of imploding.
එනිසා ආණ්ඩුව හිතනවා මේ ආණ්ඩුව යමක් හෝ රඳා පවතින්නේ උණුසුම මත කියලා. උතම ආණ්ඩු දැක්ක.
A journalist inquired as to why the JVP is remaining silent even as its alternative group is engaging in many activities.
90ක් තියෙනකො මහා ජාතික සමුළුවක් ඇඳවලා ඉදිරියේ දාලා උනෝ පදිල එහෙම ලිව්වා ඉතින් අපි දැක්කනේ.
They said they had 90% of the support. They said they would call for a public convention and chase us. The media wrote about these things and we saw it. If you only paid attention to the media circus, you would have seen such a picture. However, you need to understand what is happening practically. We accept that our movement will be affected if our supporters in the village move away. We cannot deny this. But this is not strong enough to turn back the political progress of the JVP.
නමුත් ඒ කිසිසේත්ම ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ආපසු වරවන්න ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ දේශපාලන ආපසු වරවන්න තරම් ප්‍රබල එකක් නෙමෙයි.
The golden fence erected around the boatry in the Somawati sacred area was unveiled by President Mahinda Rajapaksa today.
The President unveiled the golden fence at the auspicious time this morning amidst the chanting of Pirith by the Mahasangha. 3 million rupees had been spent for the construction of this golden fence. Subsequent to the unveiling of the fence, the President also paid homage to the Somawati Chaitya.
Let's take a look at what's coming up on Entertainment First tonight. Well, details coming up later on in the bulletin, and time now for a short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back. Tonight on our special segment 13 Plus, which delves into the subject of devolutional power, we take a look at initiatives taken in order to devolve power since 2006.
On the 16th of October 2006, the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka ruled that it is illegal to amalgamate the northern and eastern provinces. The debate on the devolution of power reached another milestone on the 23rd of October 2006 when the two main parties in the country, the SLFP and the UNP, entered into an agreement. Through the agreement, the two parties agreed to cooperate on issues such as peace, good governance and development. The agreement also spoke of several key points such as the North and East dispute, reforming the electoral process, good governance, social development and proposals on cooperation. Through the agreement, both parties agreed to provide bipartisan cooperation to enact proposals mentioned in the agreement and to also set up a program to enact the 17th Amendment to the Constitution systematically. Despite the agreement being reached for a period of 2 years, it did not last for long. However, in his Mahaviru Day speech late that year, former LTTE leader Velupille Prabhakaran stated that attempts being made to reach a solution through peace talks would not be successful. Several days after this remark, on the 1st of December 2006, the convoy in which Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa was travelling came under a suicide attack. The Defence Secretary was unharmed. On the same day, during a lecture in India, opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that there is a need for a solution which can be accepted by all communities, adding that all political parties should extend their cooperation for this effort. However, to this day, political parties have failed to reach a consensus in this regard. Tomorrow, News First dwells deeper into the concept of 13+.
Devolution of power will happen only with the consent of all. Minister Lakshmanya Pavebhadan made this observation while attending a function in Nuwara yesterday.
After saying it 100 times, we are saying it for the 101st time that we are for 13+. When we ask what would be given, they are silent.
13+ කියලා.
They don't say anything when we ask them what they are planning on giving as 13+. What are they planning on giving more than the 13th Amendment to the Constitution? Is it police powers or land powers? We want to know what, but there is no answer. They keep on saying plus and plus. They enjoy all the benefits of ministerial positions and avoid the problems raised by the public.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමා යටතේ
Just like any religion or ethnicity, this country will not face injustice under the leadership of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He will not take any decision that will harm this country. I am 100% sure about this. Even though the 13 is given under his leadership or something more than 13 is given, the country will not befall any harm under him. If not 13, even if something more than 13 is given, it will only be done with the consent of all in this country.
හැබැයි දෙන්නේ මේ රටේ සියලු දෙනාම එකඟත්වය ඇතුව